Okay, so let's just dive right into this. Have you ever kind of looked around at your life and noticed this frustrating pattern where you seem to constantly attract people who are emotionally heavy or chaotic or just going through some kind of massive crisis? It can be exhausting, right? Like you're some kind of beacon for other people's problems. I mean, it is such a specific feeling, isn't it? As if damaged or emotionally struggling people just naturally gravitate towards you. They pour their hearts out to you even when they barely know you, and it just leaves you thinking, why me? What am I doing to attract all of this? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Society usually gives us these really simple, almost dismissive answers. Oh, you just have bad luck, or you're just too nice. But psychology? Psychology offers a much deeper and honestly, a much more empowering explanation. It suggests this whole pattern isn't a curse or some kind of flaw. No, it's the direct result of the incredibly powerful psychological signals your brain is sending out, probably without you even realizing it. So, what's the very first signal you're sending out? Well, it all starts with something we can call your emotional gravity. It's this powerful, calming presence you project that acts like a stabilizing force for chaotic minds around you. This is what psychologists refer to as emotional gravity. You see, if you're a deep thinker, someone who has actually worked through your own challenges, you likely give off this very calm, stable energy. You've been through the storm, and you've found your center. And that centeredness has a real, tangible effect on other people. And this happens because of something really cool in our brains called mirror neurons. So when someone with a chaotic, kind of dysregulated nervous system is near you, their brain subconsciously senses your stability, and it actually starts to mirror it. They feel safer, more grounded. Their mind literally starts to sync up with your calm. You become an emotional anchor for them, and you don't even have to try. But attracting these individuals is really only half the story. The bigger question is, why do you let them stay? Well, the answer often lies in a much deeper, subconscious habit that's rooted in your past, the need to feel useful. So many people who find themselves caught in this pattern have this subconscious habit of becoming the emotional caretaker. It's a role you might not even realize you're playing, but believe me, it powerfully shapes every single one of your relationships. So the crucial question is, where does this come from? Well, if you grew up in an environment where love and acceptance felt conditional, your brain might have learned this one very strict rule early on. To be loved, you have to be useful. This one rule can wire your brain for what psychologists call an anxious attachment pattern. You start to confuse your self-worth with what you do for other people. You become a master at anticipating their needs. You avoid conflict like the plague. And why? Because deep down, you've learned that if you stop being useful, you might just lose the connection entirely. So of course, you naturally draw in people who need fixing because making them whole makes you feel worthy. Okay, now let's layer on the third element, because this is what really amplifies this whole dynamic intensely. This is all about your own emotional hardware and just how it's wired. People with this kind of emotional depth often have a highly active empathy system. It's driven by those same mirror neurons we just talked about. This means you don't just hear someone's pain with, an intellectual understanding. No, you actually feel their pain in your own nervous system. It's an absolutely incredible ability, but wow, can it be draining? And because you are so compassionate, because you can literally feel what other people are feeling, people in crisis can immediately recognize you as someone who is emotionally safe. They can just sense that you won't judge them. You become, in essence, a safe harbor for minds that are lost in a storm. The final piece of this whole puzzle lies in your personal boundaries, or more often, the lack of them. And this often traces all the way back to a role you learned to play in your childhood. Psychology actually has a name for this archetype, the easy child. If you grew up sensing tension or stress around you, you probably learned really early on how to adapt. You became cooperative, quiet, and low demand, all just to avoid adding any more pressure and to keep things peaceful. So what's the consequence of that today? Well, you've been conditioned to prioritize harmony over your own needs. And emotionally heavy people are naturally drawn to this because you don't ask for much in return. It makes it incredibly easy for them to take up all the emotional space in the relationship. So if you're sitting here seeing yourself in all of this, I want you to just pause for a second. Let's reframe this entire pattern. Because this isn't a weakness, it's actually a collection of incredible, though sometimes challenging, strengths.
Just look at what these traits really are. They aren't flaws. We're talking about powerful empathy, deep emotional stability, a genuinely calming presence. These are rare psychological gifts. You have an advanced level of compassion and an intuitive understanding of what it means to be human.
So here's the bottom line. You are not cursed, and you are not doing something wrong. You possess a rare power. That emotional gravity we talked about, it literally has the ability to help regulate and even rewire the nervous systems of the people who are simply in your presence. That is remarkable. And this is the core belief that needs to shift. It is time to realize that you do not have to carry everyone else's emotional weight just to prove your worth. You are inherently valuable, not because of what you provide, but simply because of who you are. So the real challenge here isn't to stop being you. It's not about shutting down your empathy or becoming cold. It's all about learning to wield these incredible gifts with intention. The journey forward is about building the boundaries you need, not to push people away, but to protect your own precious energy and your own peace. So the real question you're left with is this: how will you choose to use your power?